tell what people have been through. So you just never know. So that being said, we'll just leave it right there. Eva, tell us a little bit about yourself. Share with our listeners, please.
First and foremost, again, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate you. Like you said, I'm Eva M. Kennedy, and I am a cancer survivor. I was first diagnosed back in 1998, had a reoccurrence 5 years later, and had to have a mastectomy. Went through a lot of emotional triumphs, challenges with reconstructive surgery. Left my corporate job, became a professional volunteer, and then started seeking my purpose. And one of the things that I learned about cancer is that it truly taught me how to live my life. And at the time I was going through it, I didn't realize it, but as a result, I've started my own business. I am a life coach empowering women to live and pursue the life that they desire. And again, grateful to be here, still standing. Last time I was diagnosed was 2003. So I'm just grateful to be a survivor.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. So you're a two-time survivor.
2 times, yes. 1998, and at the time, back in 1998, somewhere I heard that if it didn't come back within 5 years, you would be considered a survivor. So for between 1998 and 2003, I was praying that it wouldn't come back, and it did the 5th year.
Same breast?
Same breast. But it was a blessing, because the blessing, it came back in the same breast, and they caught it early. Mm-hmm. So I did have to lose the breast, but I did not have to go through chemo. The first time I did have radiation, but I didn't have to go through chemo.
So you never did the chemo?
Never had to do chemo, yeah.
So, okay. Did you do a double or just a...
No, well, at the time, well, now cancer and the research is much further along. So now, they didn't have like BRCA tests the way they have now. Mm-hmm. So I just opted to just have the left breast removed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now there's so much more information, and some women I know they're making the decision to do the double. Mm-hmm. because of research. Yes, it's so further along.
And then Angelina Jolie.
Jolene, yes, yes.
So had it run in your family?
I have a strong history of cancer in my family, but I had an aunt on my mom's side that was diagnosed, and within 5 years, it came back and spread throughout her body, and she passed away. Yeah.
And when you initially was diagnosed, did you find it yourself?
I did, and here's what's so interesting, and I'm so glad you have me on, because as women, we have to be advocates for ourselves, and we have to pay attention to our bodies. Because I just had my mammogram in November, and then it was that following around March, I felt a little small lump in my left breast. It was about the size of a pea, and it was a little bit sore. And I wasn't concerned because I just had the mammogram, yes. But I called my doctor, and she said, come on in. I went in, I did a mammogram. They said it was benign. But because of my history, thank God that I had a relationship with my doctor. Because of the cancer history in my family, she said, oh, no, I don't care if it's benign, it's coming out. Had she not been an advocate for me, number one, had I not been an advocate for myself and called her just to notify her, and had she not been an advocate for me, that cancer would have stayed in my breast because the mammogram said it was benign.
The mammogram or the person reading it?
Well, that's good point. Good point. But my doctor said, no, it's coming out. She said, based on the history in your family, it's coming out. Thank God. Praise God for that. Yeah.
And then they realized it was, in fact.
Yes. Yes.
Was your doctor a black doctor?
No, but she was a young female, a young white female. And that's why we have to pay attention to our bodies. So when it's like that old saying, if you hear something, do something. If you feel something, do something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Notice the changes in your bodies for sure.
For sure. And so the 2003, you were just having a regularly scheduled mammogram and you caught it again?
No, that was when I caught it. The first time it was detected through a mammogram. The second time I caught it because it was something the size of a kernel of corn or a pea. It was just that small. It was so small that had I not been examining my own body, I could have easily have missed it.
Were there any signs that you felt like you missed or didn't pay attention to?
No, just, well, you know, when you're told that you have cancer, it's emotional. It's very, very emotional. And here's the thing, Dana, the way that I found out the first time, my doctor removed a lump. And he says, I don't think it's cancer. And it was around the holidays. And he said, but we had the surgery. And he said, I'm going to be on vacation. I'm sure it's nothing, but call my office and they'll be able to give you the results. So when I called the office, now I'm dating myself, Dana, because I was using a payphone, okay? I was at the hair salon using a payphone, so I am truly dating myself. So when I called, I couldn't get a hold of anyone, so I called again, and his partner was in surgery, so the woman said to me, I'll have him call you. But he didn't call. He had his associate, another female, call me, and she said, I have good news and I have bad news. Now, this is right during the holiday period, right? Everything's about to shut down. And I'm at the hair salon, true story. She said, I have good news and bad news. She said, yes, you have breast cancer, but it's the best kind. That was all I knew for like about 5 days. For about 5 days, and I sat in my hairstylist's chair, and I cried silently. She was the first person I told, and I cried.
Silently?
Well, I'm sitting in the chair, you know, I'm at the hair salon, so I'm still trying to be cool because you have to process it too. And so it was a tough Christmas that year because I didn't know until after the holidays that it was
good cancer.
Well, good cancer, it was in situ, stage 0, which meant that I had the cancer, but it was, you know.
Hadn't come out the cell.
Yes, it was contained. So that was the good thing about it.
Triple positive, HER2 negative, or you, what do you know? Do you remember? Did you even deal with all that?
No, I didn't deal with, it's funny you should say that. I didn't deal with the emotions of having cancer the first or the second time until years later, until much years later. I grew up like so many women, you know, suppressing my feelings. I grew up thinking that I had to be strong and that whatever was thrown my way, that I could handle it, you know. So no, I never dealt with it. And I remember even after I had the mastectomy, going back to work, and true story, I remember that morning before I went back to work, purposely going in my closet and putting on a tight-fitted bodysuit and a jacket. And when I got in the office, took my jacket off and walked the floor because I didn't want people to look at me differently. So I didn't deal with the emotions. Oh my God, I didn't started dealing with the emotions probably until I entered coaching school, to be honest. Yeah, I had suppressed it just that long.
Was that? God knows.
So you're talking, you know.
So I can compare with my time.
Yeah, you're talking, the last diagnosis was 2003, praise God. I probably didn't start dealing with the emotions until 2013, 2014. You know, because all I knew was that I had to, in my mind, be strong. And one of the things too, when you're going through something, I can say for me, having cancer, I kept a lot of my feelings to myself because you don't want your friends or people you know to worry about you because then you have to worry about them. So I kept a lot of that from my friends as well. So yeah, it was challenging, very emotional. But at the time, to me, it wasn't as emotional until I had to deal with all those emotions that I had suppressed for so many years. That's where the work started.
I'd like to talk about that. Maybe we'll just keep going, but I'm coming back to that.
Yeah. So anybody that's going through something, I say reach out to your friends. You don't have to go through it alone because once I started to unravel emotionally, I unraveled, so to speak. Yeah, I mean,
did you get professional help?
I did.
Or yourself?
Well, I had a coach, and the coach helped me get through it. And plus, by the time I started to deal with my emotions, I was ready. I was ready to deal with my emotions because I tell the story all the time. I had this internal emotional cup. And all my life I grew up, whenever something happened, because I felt that I believed for whatever reason, and these were my own self-imposed fears now that I know, I can name it, it was my own fear. So each time something happened, I would put it inside my internal emotional cup. And eventually that cup spilled over. When the cup started to spill over, I was ready to deal with my emotions. So the cancer, even when I was younger, suppressing my emotions, the cancer emotions, giving myself permission to be afraid and to say that I was afraid, giving myself permission to say that I didn't have to be strong on my own, giving myself permission to reach out to people that I knew that cared about me, and giving myself permission to give myself some grace.
Yeah, understanding that.
Yeah.
So, okay, did you have the challenging part? Well, back then, before you dealt with everything, how did you prepare yourself?
I don't know if I did. I just kind of went through the motions. But one of the things I did try to do, I did try to find an organization. Because when you're first diagnosed, your doctors give you all this information. So I did go to some of the breast cancer support groups, but I wasn't able to find the emotional support that I felt that I needed. A lot of them would talk about, I don't even remember, but I know that I never found a place or a space where I felt that I could open up emotionally. And for me, after I had the mastectomy, I chose to have the reconstructive surgery. And I remember going to one group, and there were women there, and they had decided not to have the reconstructive surgery. So I couldn't relate to them in a sense.
The whole group?
Well, it was only a few women, but yeah, and they were older too, because I was younger at the time, and they were older, and so I don't even think they could relate to. Probably they were thinking, "Girl, you just lost your breath. Get over it." Right, with me, being a young woman, and at that time I thought I was all that, So I'm trying to, keep myself all pushed up and pulled together. So it was tough to find emotional support at the time.
And who did you talk to?
I ended up, it's funny, I pray a lot. And I ended up having conversations with the Father, because I got to the point, and this was before I left my job, I had so many setbacks with the reconstructive surgery. Every time I got to the finish line, as a matter of fact, one of my friends said this to me. She said, "Eva, every time you get to the finish line, they move the finish line." And I remember I was so tired, I was so exhausted, I'd been through so much, and I'm holding all this in. And I'm working, and I'm having infections, implant in, implant out. And I remember one night I was so tired, and I had another infection, and I knew I had an infection. Because you could look at my breast, the top of my breast, and it changed colors. So what I would do, I would walk the floor and cry at night, and I'd go to work in the morning. And so one of my friends looked at me and she said, "You need to go to the doctor." And I remember getting on the Kennedy and driving, and I remember crying. And I knew I had the infection. And sure enough, when I got there, doctor said to me, "You have an infection and the implant's gonna have to come out." And he said, "But I'm gonna keep you in the hospital overnight because it looks like you haven't been sleeping." And he was afraid for me, and that's why he said that. And I'm like, "No, I have to go home," because I lived by myself, and I knew whenever I had to have surgery, I'd become so good at it. I had to prepare my house, go get the food you need and what have you. And I remember that night, I got home and I started walking the floor and I was crying. I was so tired, and I remember, true story, and I went into my living room and I got down on my knees and I prayed. And I prayed and I prayed. And I made a conscious decision that night. I had a choice. I could either trust God or I could curse God. And that night I made a decision Excuse me if I get emotional.
No, it's okay.
And that night I made a decision that I was going to hold on, and I was just going to hold on to him. And that was a turning point. And I went to sleep, and the next morning I got up. I felt better, and I walked to the hospital to have my surgery, to have the implant removed. So I did a lot of praying. I trusted God, and he led me. I ended up leaving the company because each time I had a setback, what I didn't know at the time is he was trying to tell me something. He was trying to tell me, Eva, I have something else for you. So sometimes when we're going through challenges and trials and tribulations, we think it's the worst thing that can happen to us, but we don't know that sometimes elevation's on the other side. And he was trying to get me to stop thinking about that job and to look towards him and to trust him. So I ended up leaving the job. And, the journey eventually led me to doing what I'm doing now.
And I'm just going to co-sign on that infection. Wow, Eva, I had so much trouble on both. I had double.
You had a double, yeah.
And I think the implants came out 3 times on each side.
Yeah.
Just infection after infection. And I deduced it to, it was just too much. My body was just like, well, ding, 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 stop, too much going on. Where I didn't elect to have the first surgery and wait and then have the reconstruction. I did it all in the same,
right.
Removing the breast and the reconstruction. So it was a lot. In retrospect, I think, there was probably a better way to do it, but I had a lot of infection problems.
Yeah. You know what the other thing, did you have radiation?
No.
Here's the other thing I think, Dana, this is just my opinion. I don't know, did you deal with it emotionally?
No.
See, so you were never healed. When you think about it, and I think that's what happened with me too, is that I never dealt with it emotionally, so my body was never healed. And as a result, because I did have radiation, and once you have your skin radiated, that's a whole different conversation. It's very difficult for it to heal. But emotionally, I didn't deal with it. So had I dealt with it emotionally, I don't know if I would have had the same challenges. So in my mind, I never healed completely, physically or emotionally. And as a result, right, that could have caused some of the challenges I had. So, and you just said you never dealt with it emotionally, and you had challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm here to tell everybody listening, I definitely am still standing in the line for some counseling. That's the step that I did not take, that I am definitely feeling like I need more and more over time.
Yeah.
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 I had young children, married, I wanted to come home with 2 breasts.
Right, yes.
I didn't want to come home, with these young kids, trying to explain that. So,
yeah,
but in the meantime, I had problems.
Yeah, it's a challenging time. It can be, and that's why I say, there's a lot more, I think, research that's been being done or been done. I don't know if there's what type of emotional support that's out there and that's available, because I think that's so important, because you need a place where you can just be. If you need to let go and know that it's okay. So I don't know what's out there now, but anyone that's going through it, the first thing that I would say is reach out to someone. Find someone that can offer you some emotional support and just help you work through it emotionally, because you don't. And you shouldn't. I wouldn't advise anybody to go through it emotionally alone.
Yeah, right. So, the first thing you do, I don't know about you, is to consider how, why, what caused this? Or was this something I ate? Was it something I did? Was it the environment, your family history?
Yeah. So
you just start questioning, and until you can, calm the questions down and just, and I personally was not I didn't get online and research everything. I followed the protocol that my doctor, my team offered, which I trusted. and just kind of went along.
Yeah. I did get a second opinion, though, before I had the surgery.
Too.
And then other than that, you're right, I just kind of went along with what...
And my second opinion, that doctor she was so not what I needed.
Yeah.
Ew, that would have been a bad idea because she was just way too excited. I mean, I left her office with a massive headache, and so I had a wonderful team.
Yeah.
Team was great.
And so did I, and I still have a good team, because I still go for my mammograms, and it's funny, because I have scar tissue. I keloid, and I have scar tissue, so my last mammogram, which was last year, I'm scheduled for November, December is coming up. In my last mammogram, there was a little blimp on my right breast. It's as a result of the scar tissue. Even though I had the mastectomy, I had to have surgery on the right breast too for symmetry. And she saw something, and she sent me to have a mammogram, and then the mammogram, and what's the other one?
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound. She wanted to make sure. So I have a good team. Yeah, really good team.
Right. And so, what would you say to somebody who says the mammograms hurt?
Oh, that pain is nothing compared to.
Thank
Are you kidding me?
Let's clear that up.
Yes.
Nothing.
And it's only for a moment. And here's the thing: this is the pain that you can endure because they're trying to make sure they get the breast in that machine so that they can take a picture of the entire breast. So chew some gum, bite your tongue, do whatever you need to do. But that pain is nothing compared to if you don't get a mammogram and you end up, because breast cancer doesn't have to kill you. Early detection is the key. So you have to go get your mammogram. If it hurts, think about it, women, especially if you've given birth.
Right.
There's a
lot more
pain.
Right. Oh my goodness. I mean, exponentially.
Yes.
We're talking to Eva Kennedy. She's a certified professional coactive coach, a life coach. She's an author, and she's a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah.
Totally thriving. If you have any questions or comments, please call 773-591-1690. What have you learned about yourself during this whole experience?
Oh, God. The first thing I've learned is to give myself some grace and to stop being so hard on myself. We tend to be so hard on ourselves. We judge ourselves harshly. And what I've learned is, just show up every day try to be the best person I can be, and just to give myself some grace. If things don't work out, don't beat up on myself. It's okay. Just keep it going. Keep moving. And to give myself some grace.
Any major lifestyle changes that you
Oh, I've been through so much. Are you kidding me? This whole journey of cancer, breast cancer, and what I didn't know at the time, and this is what I started to say earlier, it was really the beginning of the life that I'm leading now, or living now, but I didn't know it at the time. When I left the corporate job, I gave myself permission to take 5 years off, became a professional volunteer, working with young youths that look like us.
That means you did a good job saving your money while you're working.
Well, at the time, I was but at the time, I was so exhausted, I couldn't do anything. Because I'd been working since I was 16 years old. I've been working all my life. And I was emotionally and physically drained. I mean, going through those reconstructive surgeries, it was, and just not dealing with my emotions throughout my life, I was drained. So yes, to answer your question, I gave myself permission to take 5 years off. And then I got stuck. I didn't know what to do with the rest of my life. But here's the thing. I knew there was more to my life. I was unfulfilled, and I had this aching in my belly. I had this gnawing for more, and I kept praying, God, what's my life purpose? I was seeking my purpose. Because think about this. When you ask people who they are, they tend to tell you what they do, where they work. When you take all of that away, who are you? Who are you? So I felt like I didn't know myself. And I felt like, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing with the rest of my life? So I jog the lakefront, and I pray and I ask God, what am I supposed to do? Here's the funny thing. I spent about 2 years seeking my life purpose, and everybody kept saying, wait on the Lord. I got so tired of people telling me to wait on the Lord. But what I didn't know at the time, I was seeking my life purpose, and I was looking for answers, and I had all the answers within me. And one day, that little still small voice asked me, Eva, what's important to you? And I share the story all the time. And as a result of that, I sat myself down. I identified, defined, and prioritized my top 5 values. And I'll tell you my first 2 in order: priority, my relationship with God, and helping other people. But I further defined my second one is not helping other people, it's helping women. And as a result, I ended up in coaching school. And it was in coaching school that I had my first major breakthrough. I was in coaching school being coached.
In Chicago?
Yes.
A coaching school.
Okay. Yes. And I was being coached, and all of a sudden I started to cry. And my coach asked me why was I crying. He said, Eva, why are you crying? And I said, because I'm so tired of trying to be strong. I am so tired. And that was the beginning of my emotional breakthrough. And in the months and years to come, I started to unravel and deal with my own emotions. Emotions that I had been suppressing all of my life. And what I realized, Dana, it was my fears. I had to deal with my fears. Fear. Because I had created this mask that I was wearing and had been wearing all my life, thinking I had to be strong because I thought that if I appeared to be vulnerable, that was a sign of weakness, not knowing at the time that that was actually strength. So, yeah, I've gone through this entire transformation, given myself permission to be and to get to know myself, given myself permission to cry, given myself permission to ask for help, and given myself permission to give myself some grace. Yeah.
Eva M. Kennedy, a life coach. So, well, you're able to help yourself. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, I had a coach. But I kind of didn't have a choice because I was stuck. I was seeking my life purpose. I was stuck. So in order for me to go forward, I had to unleash the person within, so to speak, because I felt lost.
So I would like to talk more about, okay, so you have morphed and you're an author.
Yes.
And how many books do you have now?
I have 2 inspirational books and a workbook, so 3.
3 books.
Yes.
And
they're on Amazon, by the way.
And tell us what they're called.
The workbook is Witness the Most Powerful for You, 5 Fundamental Principles to Create and Live the Life You Desire. And I'll tell you a story really quickly about that one. In coaching school, we did this exercise where we have to write out our life purpose statement. And my life purpose statement was, I am the voice that inspires others to embrace life. But when I wrote it out, I was petrified. I couldn't even say it for about 6 months. Because that little negative voice, we all have that little negative voice that tries to protect us, but in essence, it makes us fearful. And MJ, God bless her soul, she's passed away. Ran into MJ, and I just met her, and the next day I ran into her, and she said, woman of God, what are you up to? And I blurted it out. I want to be an inspirational speaker. And she said to me, good, because I'll get some women together and you can speak to them. So then I started praying. I'm like, okay, give me something tangible. That's how I was able to come up with that workbook. I would run the lakefront, and whatever came to my mind, I would write it down. And before I knew it, I had a workbook, had something tangible, and brought some people together. And lo and behold, that's the workbook. And that's how I got there. And the other 2 books, one is called Inspirations for the Soul, and the other one is Just Leap. And they're workbooks with inspiring messages to encourage women to live their best lives, because I found my purpose. I'm a women's empowerment coach, and that's what I do. I work with women to help women live the life they desire.
Okay, so I know, okay, so you all heard that, right? Anybody who has ever considered a life coach, maybe this is the time to really consider. You work exclusively with women.
Yes.
And of all ages.
Yes. Well, my niche, so to speak. I mean, I mentor young women too. So yeah, I work with women of all ages because I mentor young women. But my niche is really mature millennials and young boomers.
So, is there an age? When should women start? When should we really be? I guess in your head, I'm sure you'll say, start your life out with a darn life coach, and it'll be a lot easier for you. Would you say that?
Well, two things I think everybody should have, and this is my belief, and I've had both, is a therapist and a coach. I truly believe, and I had a therapist when I was living on the East Coast for about 6 months, because I was at this period in my life where I had a lot of anxiety, right? I had a stressful job and just a lot of anxiety. Again, holding on to issues from when I was a child, issues from when I was a young adult, right? Suppressing issues. And see, a therapist will help you work through some of those painful emotional issues that you've been holding on to. And a coach will help you build a plan to go forward, because coaching is future focused. So it's almost, there's a balance. The therapist is going to help you
with your path.
Right. And the coach, there you go, Dana. Mm-hmm. There you go. And the coach is going to help you with your future. I'm a strong believer everybody needs both of them. Yes.
Well, I'm a strong believer. I ain't had none of them. I ain't had none of them. And I'm going to tell you, let's just see. Maybe I'm your experiment.
Yeah, especially women, because we tend to lift everybody else up. We put so many people on our shoulders and we carry them. And there are so many women that don't feel they deserve to live an amazing life. Mm-hmm. They'll say, it's not for me. I'm too old. I passed my time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not smart enough. And it's amazing. You're the go-to person that people call, right? So you lift people up. You're the go-to person that give advice. You're the go-to person that help people figure it out. But you won't do it for yourself. You don't see yourself as others see you. You don't see your own strengths. And especially my book, Just Leap. The L is for live life for you. E is expect good things to happen. A is accept the things that you can't change. And P is to prosper in all areas of your life. I wrote that book specifically for women who've been lifting everybody else up, and it's their time now, right? I don't care how old you are. It's your time. You deserve to live an amazing life. And sometimes we don't go forward because of fear of failure. And I've experienced all of these fears. Fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being loved. And I say, if you're thinking that, let's just flip the script. If you fear of being rejected, but what if you're not? If you fear of failure, but what if you don't? And even if failure is how you define it, right? But you're going to learn something. So, like all of the trials and tribulations that I went through when I was going through these reconstructive surgeries, number one, I never asked God, why me? I always said, I understand it. Number one, even when I left the company, I had life. I was able to walk away with insurance. There are so many people that don't. Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at it as I failed or I was rejected, but look at it from a different perspective. Look at the lessons I've learned. Right?
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, but I'm just saying, every woman deserves to live an amazing life, and we spend so much time lifting each other up, lifting up others, that we don't take care of ourselves. And I challenge each and every single woman, if you're not living the life you desire, if not now, when?
I get that, but do you feel like they're just some, I don't even know what the word is, parameters, constraints that lock you in? Is there some financial bottom line you need to have? I mean, I can to tell somebody who's struggling, just day to day, and you taking care of your generation, your children's generation, your parents, that you deserve to live an amazing life, mm-hmm. and that your time is not come and gone.
course not.
And that you, in your health, don't, you know, even though your body's getting older every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would be the first step to tell somebody that, no, you deserve to live like you want to live? But a lot of times that comes with...
But you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere, Dana.
Resources that we don't have.
But if you think about it, think about this, Dana, especially our generation, our race, I should say. If we waited until we had money, right? Think about this.
Okay.
If we waited till we had money, right?
Then that's why we still waiting.
No, well, but you can take so look at it this way. It's all about perspective. What's one step you can take? What is one step? Here's the thing. There's so many people that want more, but they won't even admit that they want more because they're afraid. Number one, it will never happen. They're afraid to be, they'll fail. Just admit it. That's one small step. Take a small step. You know, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. Well, you know it's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. But at least, here's the thing. We make decisions and choices every single day. Why not make decisions and choices based on what you want versus what other people want or what other people expect of you? Why not make decisions and choices based on what you want? It doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. Life is a continuous journey of evolution.
But I think that's it. If you've made, you know, responsibility says that Superwoman says, yeah, I know this is a choice I would like to make, but because I am responsible for A, B, C, D, and E as well, I need to make choice F.
All right. So what's one choice that you can make just for you? Say for instance, you do have all these responsibilities, right? So you have grandchildren, you have children, you have elderly parents, but at the end of the day, I really want to be a chef. That's what my passion is. That's what I want to do. I'm just using that as an example. So first of all, just admit that's what you want to do. So just admit you want to be a chef. Start baking. If that's what your passion is if that's what you want to pursue, start baking. Bake for your family. Bake for the kids. Start baking. That's where your fulfillment is in baking. So start doing it. So it's all about perspective.
I understand that, and I'm a firm believer in that first step, right?
Yeah.
You bake a good enough muffin and you give it to the right person, you don't know.
Okay, Dana, I'm going to share my vision with you. Okay. Thank you for having me.
And look at the rest of the world now.
Yeah, right.
I know you feel like it's
I'm
putting these mics are on.
No, I'm putting it in the universe now. I have this vision. Last year I had this vision, 1 million steps. True story, it's in my phone. I can show it. Oh, I'm using the phone. 1 million steps is in my phone. I have this vision. If I can get 1 million women to take one small step to pursue what they desire, that's my vision. So I was trying to rein on my own vision. So I was talking to someone. I said, well, maybe if I can get 1,000 women. And the little voice said, no, I gave you 1 million. So I'm relaunching my business in January. I'm going from one evolution, business life coaching, to Eva M. Kennedy. So if you go in right now and just type in evamkennedy.com and just leave your information, you'll see that. It's just a landing page. I'm relaunching. And I have this vision to get 1 million women to take one step, even if they just write down what they want. Yes. 1 million women. So thank you, Dana. Now it's out in the world. Right. It is in the world. Yeah. And I'm so grateful that God said no. When I tried to say 1,000, he said, no, I gave you 1 million steps. So that's it.
1 billion.
Yeah. So one step would be even if you just wrote it down what your passion is, we can always find excuses to not pursue what we want, right? Here's the thing about living the life you desire. You define that. No one else gets to define that, right? So living the life you desire may just mean having peace of mind and joy, right? But you still have to do the work. You have to believe that you can have peace of mind and joy. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all you want, and that's fine. So it doesn't have to be grand. I'm not saying that you have to be a millionaire. It's what you want. And that's why I said you deserve to live an amazing life. Some people, all they want is just peace of mind, to spend time with family. And that's fine. Then do it. Some people want to travel. Then do it. Start by traveling just around your own town. Look at Chicago. It's a great city.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And if somebody is interested in coaching with you, how do they get started?
They can call me. I have a number, 312-725-8099. 312-725-8099. And I'm transitioning. January, I'm launching relaunching my business, and I want to tell you that story really quickly because you asked me about my journey and my transformation. And the reason that I'm relaunching, someone asked me this last night, because I have come full circle as it relates to embracing my authentic self. I've been working really hard dealing with my fears. I've been just working hard to try to be a better person, just understanding who I am and just embracing all of me, my fears, my strengths, my weaknesses. And the funny story, now my name for my business, Eva M. Kennedy. I used to be ashamed of my middle name, M, May, because when I was a little girl, I was living in South Carolina, I moved to Boston. May is a country name, and you can Google it. It's a country name. There was Georgia May, Eva May, Kennedy May, or everybody was a May. And when I first moved to Boston, the kids used to tease me. I was a little country girl with country clothes, country accent, and look at your name, Eva May. So I stopped using it. Now, Eva is my mom's name. My grandmother, she named me. So I have to hold on to that. But the M represents all of me. I've come full circle, embracing who I am and being my authentic self. Now, I continue to grow and evolve, but so relaunching, rebranding it represents how I've been transformed, but I'm excited because I'm still growing and I'm still learning. Eva M. So you notice when I introduce myself now, I always have to correct I'm Eva M. Kennedy. Yes.
I like it. So we started out talking about breast cancer survivorship, which is very important. And we've kind of, morphed into, life coaching.
Yes.
We're talking about these are the type of things that will empower us, is understanding, how to use our past pain, and I guess, and shape it into where you want to go in the future. You just deal with what you've done, and what's happened, and start a new course forward. Do you do vision boards?
It's funny. I do beyond the vision board. I have a vision board, but I have a workshop. It's called Beyond the Vision Board, because you have to put action behind the vision. So what I do is I help women put action behind the vision, because you can put up a vision board, which is great, but what are the actions? What actions are you going to take so that you can fulfill that vision? Yeah. But I definitely believe in planning, in having a vision for your life, whatever it is you want. Bottom line is you get to decide it. No one else does.
Okay, so listen, let's swing back to breast cancer. And
sure.
You have, you understand how to at least try to change your outlook and have a positive outlook. You can help someone. What about somebody who is going through cancer right now, maybe just diagnosed? What would you say would be the most important thing for someone to understand about survivorship and getting through and journeying from day one until 17 years later?
Oh my goodness! Oh, wow, that's a powerful question. No, I think the first thing is, well, we already talked a little bit about it. Learn as much as you can. Know what type of cancer you have. Get your second opinions. Make sure you do all that medical stuff, right? Getting the second opinion, understanding the type of cancer you have, understanding the treatments. That's number one. And number two, let people in. Let people in. You don't have to go through this journey alone.
And she's speaking from experience,
Yeah.
because you did not let
because you start to, my thing was I didn't want people to worry about me. And you walk a fine line, because when you tell people you have cancer, they get worried, and then you have to worry about them. So you have to worry about yourself, and you have to worry about them. But you can let people know, but you can also let them know, listen, I will call on you if I need you. And you can just have straight up conversation. I don't need to worry about you. So I don't need you babying me. I don't need you hovering over me. I will reach out. And then whatever emotions you're feeling, don't suppress them. Deal with them. You're a human person. And it's okay. You're going to have emotions. You know? So deal with them. Understand the emotions. Be with them. If you need to cry, cry. Yeah.
You know, this is very good. I mean, I wish I had maybe more tools. I'm sure I wish I had more tools when I was going through.
I wish I had some emotional support, but then on the other hand, I wasn't ready for it either.
Right.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
I don't know what I would have done with it at the time. I'm sure it was available. I didn't obviously use some of the resources I probably had at the time.
I did try to seek out resources, though, but I don't know. It's a double-edged sword.
I just did the whole, I got this. Let me take the kids to school.
Yeah.
Let me try to keep the routine and not stumble. Let me put this wig on. And try to look as normal as I can.
Yes, and you had small children too, so you were trying to maintain the balance and sanity and the emotions in the household.
And true story, my kids were, oh my goodness, I would wake up in the morning with one hair and pick them up from school with a different hair. Oh, they were so mad. Ma, you cannot come to school with two different hairs. Because they were young, They didn't like that nor understood that.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Oh, my God. You didn't have that hair this morning.
Yeah.
Funny.
But the most important thing, Dana, for women, though, is to be an advocate for yourself. But number two, get to know your own body. Seriously. And I know a lot of women that don't like to go for these mammograms. You have to go. You have to go.
Saves lives.
Yes, for sure.
Don't deny, verify.
Yes.
Eva Kennedy, she is a certified professional coactive life coach, and her number, if you want to get her,
312-725-8099.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Meet me back here next week. We'll be talking about how to cope through the holidays, and here they come, and a lot of